but they're always getting beat by a better team in the playoffs. Always gets beat by a team that's better than they are. Another team in the AL East that was better than they were this year, and the Toronto Blue Jays doing.
All right, guys, so we're sitting here at the end of December. By the time this hits you, it might be already January 2026, and the New York Yankees, one of the richest, most storied franchises, have done absolutely nothing this offseason, while every single one of their AL East rivals has been going absolutely nuclear, making moves to win a championship. You want to know what the Yankees' big splash move has been this offseason? Nick Torres, a 32-year-old first baseman and outfielder who, yes, was the 2025 Mexican League MVP. You know, he did have a great season down in Mexico, slashing 347, 425, 730 with 27 home runs and 79 RBIs in 86 games, but this guy hasn't played in an affiliated minor league game since 2018. He was a 4th round pick by the Padres back in 2014, made it up to AAA, and spent the last several years absolutely mashing in Mexico. So it's what scouts would call like a zero risk lottery ticket. You give a minor league deal out where if it works out, you hit the lottery, and if it doesn't, you really didn't risk anything or spend anything on it. But that's it. That's all the Yankees have done this entire offseason. Meanwhile, AL East is going crazy while Brian Cashman and Steinbrenner are just sitting there with their hands in their pants. And honestly, this is why I think I gotta tell you guys, this is gonna mark the end of the Yankees as we know them. But before we get into today's video, and guys, that brings us to our sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh. Thank you so much, HelloFresh. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a pretty picky eater myself, and I'm not that great with cooking. I don't want to go out to the grocery store and buy a bunch of the vegetables and figure out everything I have to do. I like to get things simplified for me. And with HelloFresh, it's like literally having a customizable restaurant menu at home. It's amazing, guys. They sent me a package which I chose with some butter chicken and jasmine rice, another chicken sandwich, and a rigatoni with beef and zucchini ragu. Ooh, guys, I love it. And what I really love is look at the packaging. Everything is pre-made for you. They give you step-by-step instructions on how to make everything. Everything is fresh, and it's so easy to make because you don't have to take care of anything. All you got to do is whip out the pan, whip out the pot, and in 15, 25 minutes, you have a beautiful dinner fully served for you, right? And I don't know about you, I've been trying to get more veggies into my meals, and with HelloFresh, it makes it so easy. The recipes sneak them in ways that I actually enjoy them. Also, if you're someone like me, I love my protein. As you can see with this beef rigatoni pasta that I'm making, I have a lot of beef going in here. And before, most of the protein options that didn't cost extra were chicken, but now you can add premium steak and seafood at no additional cost. We're talking about meals that feel like date night, but at home. It's amazing, guys. HelloFresh is the best. And honestly, guys, it's been a lifesaver for me. It helps me cook, helps me stay healthy, helps me show off to my friends, to my dates. I love it. I hope you guys love it. And thank you so much, HelloFresh, for sponsoring today's video. I'm going to leave a link in the description for everyone else who wants to check it out. Please do that with my code. As some of you guys may already know, we're giving away a MLB official jersey every couple of uploads to a lucky subscriber who has their notifications turned on. So do that now if you don't already. Comment down below what jersey you would like if I pick you. This upload's winner is at Austin_Boston98. Congratulations, bro. Reach out to me and I will get you that jersey. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it. So let's start with the Toronto Blue Jays, who absolutely embarrassed the Yankees in the ALDS this past October, beating them in 4 games. You'd think that embarrassment would light a fire under this organization's ass, right? Wrong. Instead, the Blue Jays came out of this offseason heated. They signed Dylan Cease to a 7-year, $210 million contract. They brought in Cody Ponce on a 3-year, $30 million deal. He's the former MLB pitcher who won KBO MVP honors. They added reliever Tyler Rogers to a 3-year, $37 million contract. And they're still heavily pursuing Kyle Tucker and rumored to be in on even Alex Bregman. Then you have the Baltimore Orioles. They went out and signed Pete Alonso to a 5-year, $155 million deal. They added closer Ryan Helsley to a 2-year deal. They traded for Shane Baz from the Rays. They re-signed Zach Eflin. They traded for Taylor Ward from the Angels. The Orioles are going for it right now while their young core is still cheap. The Boston Red Sox, another team who admittedly has had a quiet offseason so far as well, but at least they still did make a trade for Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras. Even the Tampa Bay Rays, who are literally playing in the Yankees spring training facility, have made moves. They signed Cedric Mullins. They're the 28th ranked ranked team in spending in all of baseball, and they've been more active than the Yankees. Now, let's talk about why this is happening, because it all starts from the top with Hal Steinbrenner. Back in November 2025, Hal held a press conference where he said some absolutely wild stuff. He noted that the Yankees payroll from 2025 was $319 million, and when asked about what the payroll would look like for 2026, here's what he said. I mean, are you freaking kidding me right now? This team prints money. A team that Forbes reported generated over $700 million in revenue in 2025, and the owner is out here saying it would be ideal if payroll went down. Now, to be fair, Hal did follow that up by saying, but does that mean that's going to happen? Of course not. We want to field a team we know could win a championship. But come on, guys, like, action speaks louder than words. And so far this offseason, the only action we've seen is inaction. And when reporters pushed back and suggested that the Yankees are obviously profitable, Hal went into full corporate damage control mode.
Don't want to get into it, but that's not a fair statement or an accurate statement. Everybody wants to talk about revenues. They need to talk about our expenses, including the $100 million expense to the city of New York that we have to pay every February 1st, including the COVID year. So it all starts to add up in a hurry. Nobody spends more money, I don't believe, on player development, scouting, performance science. So these all start to add up, John. And if you want to go look at the revenues, you got to somehow try to figure out the expense side as well. You might be surprised.
So let me translate that for you. We're not going to open our checkbooks, but trust me, bro, we're not making money. This is the oldest trick in the ownership playbook. MLB team owners are under no obligation to reveal their actual finances except for the publicly traded Atlanta Braves. So when an owner claims they're not profitable, you should immediately be skeptical because they're trying to manage public perception, not state actual facts. But guys, this is the New York Yankees. This is the franchise that should be operating like the Dodgers, who just won back-to-back World Series titles with the biggest payroll in baseball. This is the team that should be willing to do whatever it takes to win. And instead, we're penny pinching and talking about lowering payroll while every single person in the division and our rivals are spending money hand over fist. You know what old man George Steinbrenner would be doing right now if he were still alive? He'd be losing his goddamn mind. George would be in Brian Cashman's office right now saying, sign whoever it takes to beat the Blue Jays. George would be writing checks until he had nothing but a penny to his name. George understood that the Yankees aren't just a baseball team. They're the Yankees. There's a standard. There's an expectation. There's a requirement to go all in every single year when you have a window to compete. And make no mistake, the Yankees do have a window to compete right now. But this window is closing fast, and every single year is a year we're squandering the prime years of generational talents like Aaron Judge. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Cody Bellinger. Bellinger opted out of his contract to test free agency, which everyone expected. He's 30 years old, he's coming off his best season in years, and he's represented by Scott Boras, who's always going to try to maximize every dollar. So this should have been a no-brainer for the Yankees to make re-signing him their top priority. Well, according to multiple reports, the Yankees have said that Bellinger is their top offseason priority, except there's one massive problem. They're not actually doing anything about it. Jack Curry from Yes Network reported that no team has come close to meeting Scott Boras' demands for Bellinger. And granted, what Bellinger and Boras is asking for at the moment is way too high. But still, the Yankees have not even responded, have not even tried to pursue. They're not making competitive offers. They're just waiting, hoping the price comes down, playing chicken with one of their own players who they claim is their top priority. And now reports from multiple insiders are suggesting that Yankees fans should prepare for the real possibility that Bellinger signs elsewhere. Brian Hodge, who covers the Yankees for MLB.com, held an AMA on the Yankees subreddit where he basically told fans to temper their expectations. He said when Scott Boras claims there are 8 teams involved, the chances of Bellinger accepting less than top dollar to come back seems like a fantasy. And here's the absolutely maddening part, guys. Even if the Yankees do somehow manage to re-sign Bellinger, you haven't improved the team from last year. You've just kept the status quo while every other team around you in your division has gotten significantly better. That's not a recipe for a winning championship. That's a recipe for finishing third in the division and missing the playoffs entirely. And don't even get me started on like,
oh, Garrett Cole's coming back, so what about that? That's an addition.
Well, he's already under contract. We already knew he's coming back. And by the way, you can't expect Cole to return to be a Cy Young caliber pitcher immediately. It's going to take time. He's turning 36. He hasn't pitched live bats in over a year. He's going to be rusty. We need more people. We need some signings, which makes it even more frustrating when we talk about Tatsuya Imai, the Japanese right-hander, who has been one of the most talked about international free agents this season. He's only 27 years old, coming off a dominant season in NPB. He posted a 1.92 ERA with a 3.96 strikeout to walk ratio across 163 innings. He's got mid-90s velocity and a nasty forkball-like slider. MLB trade rumors projected him to sign a 6-year, $150 million contract. And the Yankees desperately need starting pitching. Both Cole and Rodon are going to miss the beginning of 2026 season due to surgeries. You would think Imai would be a perfect target, right? And multiple reports did ink the Yankees to Imai. Japanese media outlets reported that the Yankees would be fully involved in the bidding for his services. But here's the problem. It's all smoke and mirrors, guys. When push comes to shove, Yankees manager Aaron Boone admitted that the team has not met with Imai, and he doesn't even know if a meeting is going to happen. And Jack Curry from Yes Network straight up said the communication does not exist between the Yankees and Imai. So the Yankees have shown interest in Imai, but they haven't met with him, haven't made him an offer, and apparently have no real connection to him despite all the smoke. And Imai's posting window closes on January 2nd, 2026 by the time this video probably uploads. So if he doesn't sign with an MLB team by that date, he has to return to Japan for another year. So time is running out and the Yankees are nowhere to be found. Imai himself recently appeared on a Japanese TV show and he revealed that, quote, there actually aren't many concrete options on the table yet. And that, quote, having teams show interest and receiving a formal offer are completely different things. Translation, a bunch of teams, including the Yankees, have been kicking his tires and showing interest, but nobody's actually putting real money on the table. And you know who's going to win, Imai? Whichever team decides to stop playing games and actually make him a serious offer first. And based on everything we've seen, that team is probably not going to be the Yankees, even though I hope that it is. I'm going to say something that needs to be said. Brian Cashman should have been fired years ago. And if the Yankees miss the playoffs or have another early exit in 2026, it absolutely has to be the end of his tenure. Cashman has been the Yankees general manager since 1998. That's 28 years. And you know how many World Series title teams he's constructed? One World Series in 2009, and that was 17 years ago, which is now the second longest drought in franchise history, by the way. Now, I know they won in 98, they won in 99 and 2000, but those weren't his teams. He had inherited that dynasty and simply let them play out their contracts. And look, I get it. Winning a World Series is hard, but the Yankees have more resources than almost any baseball team. They play in the biggest market. They have one of the highest revenues. They have the most storied history. And yet, year after year, they come up short. They come up short because the roster construction is flawed. They're too focused on analytics, on power, instead of getting on base and pitching. This past season is a perfect example. The Yankees won 94 games and made the playoffs. But they got bounced by the Blue Jays in the ALDS in just 4 games. Why? Because the bullpen that Cashman constructed wasn't good enough. Because the depth pieces weren't good enough. Because the franchise player who signed the biggest deal in Yankees history couldn't do anything except hit singles. And what has been Cashman's response this offseason? Well, just sit on his hands and do nothing while the rest of the division goes and gets better. I'm done. It's ridiculous. Now, I keep coming back to this because I think it perfectly sums up everything that's wrong with the current Yankees organization. What would George Steinbrenner be doing right now? George Steinbrenner understood what it meant to own the New York Yankees. He understood that this franchise has a responsibility to win. He understood that you don't just field a competitive team, you field the best team every single year, no matter the cost. Remember 2009? That was the last time the Yankees won the World Series. You want to know what George did that offseason going into 2009? He went out and signed CC Sabathia to a 7-year, $161 million contract, the biggest contract ever for a pitcher at that time. He signed AJ Burnett to a 5-year, $82.5 million deal. He signed Mark Teixeira to an 8-year, $180 million deal. He traded for Nick Swisher. He went all in, and it worked. The Yankees won the World Series one final time under George's legendary reign. That was the last time this franchise operated like the New York Yankees instead of the Milwaukee Brewers. George understood that when you have a window to compete, you go through it. You don't stand at the doorway complaining about payroll flexibility and luxury tax penalty. You kick the damn door down and you win some goddamn championships. Can you imagine what George would be doing right now if he saw the Blue Jays, the team that just embarrassed the Yankees in the playoffs, go out and spend $210 million on Dylan Cease and then going and pursuing Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman? George would be in the GM's office demanding to know why the Yankees aren't outbidding Toronto or anyone else for every every single player. But Hal is talking about how it would be ideal if payroll went down. Hal is worried about luxury tax penalties. Hal is operating the Yankees like it's a regional bank instead of like the evil empire that George built. And you know what? I'm not saying George's way was perfect. He made plenty of bad signings over the years. He was impulsive, he was demanding, sure. But you know what he never was? Cheap. He never, and I mean ever, let a rival outbid him for a player he wanted. And that's exactly what is happening right now. And don't get me started with
But the Yankees outbid the Red Sox for Max Fried last offseason.
No, they didn't. They just added an extra year on the contract and prayed that that was enough to win him over. Plus, the Red Sox ended up pivoting to Garrett Crochet, who's already seems to be a better pitcher since then and is much younger. All in all, the Yankees are letting the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, the Orioles, even the crosstown Mets outwork them this offseason by a mile. And for what? To save a few $1 million on the luxury tax? To keep payroll under some arbitrary $300 million threshold? That is not the Yankee way. It's embarrassing. You have one of the greatest hitters on the planet. You have such a talented roster with pitching and hitting. You have development pieces you could trade to get pieces that you need. What is going on in New York? Sign the people you need to sign. Make the trades you need to make. Why are the Yankees being so silent, so still? It is ridiculous to me. So let's bring it all together, because I think we need to be very clear about what's happening. And I know this video is a bit of a rant. This isn't about being patient. This is about being smart. This isn't about having a plan. This is about an ownership group and a general manager who have lost the plot completely of what it means to be the New York Yankees. The Yankees need to wake up. They need to aggressively pursue and sign Cody Bellinger before he walks. They need to make a legitimate run at Tetsuya Imai or another starting pitcher or bullpen arm before all the good ones are gone. They need to upgrade the bullpen that got worse when they lost Weaver and Williams to the Mets. They need to stop worrying about luxury tax penalties and start worrying about winning championships. Because right now, they're on a path to another disappointing season. And I know the rest of the league loves to see the Yankees fail, but Yankees fans deserve better. So to answer the question I posed at the beginning, what the hell are the Yankees doing? The answer is simple. Nothing. And that's the problem. But I'm curious, guys, what do you think? Is there anything that Cashman and Steinbrenner can do to save this team for this season? Is there any signing or trade we got to be making? Or should we just be saying, hey, Brian Cashman, you got to go? Let me know in the comments below. That's all for this one. I'll see you on the next one.